Tonight on CFTK-TV, the suspected killer of the United Health CEO has now been arrested. Juan Soto signs the largest contract in MLB history, and Syrians in Canada celebrate across the world after the fall of the Al-Assad government.
Northwest BC's only television news team. We are CFTK-TV News.
Hello, I'm Damian Smith. Thank you for joining us here on CFTK-TV. We begin with the Thornhill Fire Department as they have implemented their new paid on-call model for volunteers this year, and now they look to move on to the department recruiting. Here's CFTK-TV's Jayleen Matthews with more.
The Thornhill Fire Department will be holding an info session in January for anyone interested in joining the ranks.
We're going to lay it out what it's like to be a firefighter, what it takes to be a firefighter here at Thornhill. We're going to talk about the paid on-call model, where you're going to start, where you could end up when it comes to a wage, and just see if this is the right fit for you.
The info session will take place at the Thornhill Fire Department on January 4th at 10:30 a.m.
Any type of person can make a good firefighter. Everybody can be taught, everybody can learn. It's all about coming in. You got to have the want and the willing. If you have the want to help your community, this is the place for you. If you're not afraid of hard work, this is the place for you. If you want to start making some more money, nothing nowadays is cheap. It's extra cash in the pocket. You can take those vacations. You can put it towards your mortgage. We're finding ways to give back to the members that give to the community.
Captain Doss says it's also a great start for anyone wanting to become a professional firefighter.
We hold a standard here. Even if it's an individual that we hold for 5 years, we pay for all their training. We get them their 1001 certification, which they take with them now for the rest of their life. It's okay if they go out and look and get a professional job at a full career department. We're happy with that. We created a professional firefighter and sent him for him to start his own career. It's amazing.
For CFTK TV News, I'm Jayleen Matthews.
And the BC Coroner's Service said there's been a significant decline in the number of toxic drug deaths in the province, but they don't have the data to suggest the reasons why. It says 155 people died of drug poisonings in October, which is the lowest monthly number in over 4 years. Also noted in the report was that Terrace, the Northwest and Northern Health had some of the highest death rates among BC's local health areas, health service delivery areas, and health authorities. The service next said that 22% of October deaths were female, and in 2024, the rate of death among women was double what it was 5 years ago. It said over 1,900 people have died this year, and a 9% decrease from the first 10 months of 2023. Now, after a 6-day manhunt for the killer of a United Healthcare executive, police have now arrested a 26-year-old in Pennsylvania. And New York police believe Luigi Mangione is a strong person of interest in the connection with the targeted murder in Midtown Manhattan.
Tonight, an arrest 26-year-old Luigi Mangione taken into custody in Pennsylvania after a keen-eyed McDonald's customer recognized him from all those photos blasted everywhere on TV and social media and called 911. Police calling him a person of interest in connection with the targeted killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, who was stalked and gunned down. Police found evidence linking him to the crime, including a fake New Jersey ID used to check into a New York hostel before the murder.
Responding officers questioned the suspect, who was acting suspiciously and was carrying multiple fraudulent IDs as well as a U.S. passport. Upon further investigation, officers recovered a firearm on his person.
A gun similar to the murder weapon, along with a silencer and mask, seen in those police videos tracking the killer's every move.
The gun appears to be a ghost gun, may have been made on a 3D printer, the capability of firing a 9mm round.
They also found a handwritten manifesto slamming American health insurance companies for putting profits above care. Bullets left at the crime scene were engraved with the words deny, defend, oppose, similar language used when insurance companies deny claims.
We don't think that there's any specific threats to other people mentioned in that document, but it does seem that he has some ill will toward corporate America.
Mangione had no criminal record, well-educated, well-traveled, a software engineer, and valedictorian at a Baltimore all-boys private school.
It seems like just yesterday that we were freshmen. having Thai wars and playing computer games in CT20.
As they comb through his social media looking for clues, he once shared the Unabomber Ted Kaczynski's manifesto that called him an extreme political revolutionary.
And the City of Terrace has advertised on their website that they will be hosting a town hall event in the early part of next week at the Terrace Sportsplex Banquet Room. The event will take place on Tuesday, December 17th, and will run from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., and it's being said that all community members can attend. It will be open for opportunity for people to ask the mayor and councillors some questions, with more information coming out later. The Canada Post strike continues, and workers are now continuing to take to the streets with their pickets as we now approach 4 weeks since this strike started. It appears that this may continue for who knows how long, as no real progress has been made on paper.
For 25 days, postal workers have been here on the picket line.
As a worker, I'm just as frustrated as the public is.
The union representing 55,000 postal workers said it presented Canada Post with a counter-proposal to the one the Crown Corporation put forward on Friday. This offer included a 19% drop in its wage demands. The sooner Canada Post steps up with serious proposals, the sooner workers can return to the work they love doing in their communities, the union said in a statement. It was an offer Canada Post quickly rejected, saying it is extremely disappointed that their intent appears to be to widen the gap in negotiations rather than close it. Canada Post says it will review the offer, but adds, "We don't want to provide false hope to impacted employees, small businesses, charities, and northern communities that were hoping for a speedy resolution."
It's heartbreaking, actually.
Pam Wilcox is the owner of Snapdragon Designs in Midtown Toronto. Like most retail stores, the holiday season is their busy season.
We have had to rejig. We're now shipping through local couriers, but we have to use DHL for international orders, UPS. It's costing us double.
And it's not just small businesses. The Salvation Army says its fundraising is down roughly 50%, a gap of just under $10 million.
This postal strike couldn't have come at the worst time. This is a significant challenge for us, especially as we want to get those messages out to donors and receive their donations back in through the mail.
And the Terrace Community Forest, a company owned by the City of Terrace that gives out an annual contribution to the city, will be contributing a total of $200,000 that will go to several different local projects. The projects expected are to be new pickleball courts on Hollowall Avenue, an expansion of the George Little Park, the creation of cricket fields in Thornhill, as well as a few different art projects that are set to be located on Ferry Island. Coming up next, Syrians in Victoria rejoice as their country looks to transition to different governments. Welcome back. Well, the federal government has announced payments of over $148 million in disaster recovery funding for BC over wildfire destruction for 2022 and 2023. Public Safety and Emergency Preparedness Canada says it's dedicated about $132 million for the 2023 wildfire season, where entire neighborhoods were destroyed in the interior. Another $12 million will be dedicated to the 2022 wildfire season, and about $4 million will address costs linked to flooding in the BC interior from April to May of 2023. Now, Syrians in Canada are now rejoicing around the nation after dictator Bashar al-Assad has fled to Russia after his government was officially overthrown 2 days ago. And Anna McMillan from CTV News has more.
As the lunchtime rush gets underway at Syriana restaurant in Esquimalt, the owner sits with a sense of peace.
No more fear, no more scaredness moment. Yeah. No more blood.
Safa Namin is one of many Syrians celebrating the fall of the Assad regime. In the capital of Damascus, jubilation and gunfire mark the end of the Assad family's half-century rule after rebels marched to power on Sunday.
Nobody can imagine what is the Syrian people go through. It was very bad war.
She and her family have lived in Canada since 2017. Many of her loved ones remain in Syria.
Financially, people suffer a lot to obtain the bread for their children. like any basic needs in the life, it was hard to get.
Bashar al-Assad and his forces have been accused of human rights violations, with reports of using starvation as a weapon of war and the deliberate bombing of schools and hospitals.
Everyone was scared, like, of the bomb every morning, every night, like, it's no guarantee they are safe anytime.
As a deadly 13-year civil war ends, experts say the rebels who now control Syria offer an unpredictable future.
It's the worst case, I think, that people are worried about, which would be squabbles among the groups that made this collapse happen.
In a social media post, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says Canada is monitoring the transition. U.S. President Joe Biden says they'll help the country establish a stable, independent state.
We'll work with our partners and the stakeholders in Syria to help them seize an opportunity.
Back at the restaurant in Esquimalt, there is hope those who left Syria can go home to visit.
They can go free. No prisons, no nothing to be scared of, to go back to your homeland.
Anna McMillan, CTV News, Esquimalt.
And turning to tonight's weather, the Prince Rupert area should have cloudy conditions with a 30% chance of showers. Winds should be lighter, except the ones from the northeast at 60 kilometers per hour, upwards of 80 over the mainland valley and inlets. And the temperature should be steady around 6 degrees. The Terrace and Kitimat region should also have a cloudy night, except with a 30% chance of flurries or rain showers, and lighter winds at 20 kilometers per hour with a temperature of 1 degree. And finally, the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District should also see clouds with a 60% chance of snow overnight. There should be lighter winds at 15 kilometers per hour with a low of -5 and a wind chill of -7. Now into your weekly weather forecast. The Prince Rupert area should see some warmer temperatures for the rest of the week, followed by a little bit of a drop-off into the weekend, along with some potential flurries on Sunday. The high will hit double digits tomorrow at 10 degrees, and the low will be -1 on Sunday night, with a 60% chance of flurries. The Terrace and Kitimat region will have a mix of everything this week, with flurries, rain and snow, and even sun on Saturday. The high will be 3 degrees on Thursday, and the low will also be on Sunday night at -7. Finally, the Bulkley Valley will see a steady decrease in temperature, albeit with more sun as we head into the weekend. The high will be -1 on Thursday with a chance of snow, and the low will be -14 on, you guessed it, Sunday night. And now onto your Northwest roadside report. Highway 16 has utility work on Haida Gwaii, limited visibility east of Skeena, construction west of Fort Fraser, blowing snow east of Fort Fraser, utility work in Vanderhoof and slippery sections. Highway 37 has limited visibility south of Terrace. The Moonlit Creek Rest area is closed and has slippery sections. Highway 37A has ditching at Bear Glacier Provincial Park, slippery sections as well. And Highway 118, the Nishka Highway, and Telegraph Creek Road all have slippery sections. Still to come, the largest contract in MLB history was signed just yesterday. Welcome back again. Well, the richest contract in MLB history was signed just yesterday, where 26-year-old by the name of Juan Soto signed a 15-year contract worth $765 million, and it could even eclipse $800 million if he chooses not to opt out. And he will be 41 years of age when this contract expires. And with that, here's Paul Hollingsworth of CTV News.
A record-setting contract for a baseball player with generational talent. Superstar outfielder Juan Soto from the Dominican Republic has reportedly agreed to a 15-year, $765 million contract with the New York Mets. That's an average of $51 million US a year. It's believed to be the most lucrative contract in team sports history, sending shockwaves throughout baseball.
The fact that it ended up at $765 million is shocking to me.
The 26-year-old turned down $760 million from the Yankees for 16 years. One of baseball's best hitters, last season Soto had 41 home runs, 109 RBIs, and a .288 batting average. At that pace, his new deal would pay him $1.2 million for every home run, almost $468,000 per RBI, and more than $307,000 for every hit.
I'm glad he's able to take care of himself, his family, and many generations. I mean that's how much money he made.
It's a huge splash for the New York Mets, one they hope will pay off both on and off the field.
It's definitely going to offer an opportunity for the Mets to justify, the 2.5–3% raises on ticket sales, on luxury suite sales.
It's also a swing and a miss by the Blue Jays. Not only did Soto turn down the Yankees, he also declined a lucrative offer from the Jays.
I look at it from the Blue Jays perspective, and it feels to me like it could have been some wasted time.
Steve Phillips says the Blue Jays were in the mix, but $765 million was likely too rich for Canada's only Major League Baseball team. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Halifax.
And BC Crown prosecutors are calling for an 8-year prison term for a woman who illegally treated nearly 1,000 patients across the province while impersonating a real nurse. Bridget Claroux pled guilty back in July in the BC Supreme Court in Vancouver to several crimes, including fraud over $5,000, personating, using forged documents, as well as assault. And the 53-year-old is currently serving a 7-year prison term for a separate case of impersonating a nurse in Ontario. And Crown Prosecutor Alexander Burton says an 8-year sentence to be served consecutively would be appropriate. On Vancouver Island, a municipality put up an entry point sign that would usually show which city you would be entering. However, it appears borders seem to be an issue. Here's Andy Garland of CTV News with more down south.
People passing this sign today think they're entering the city of totems.
Do you think you're actually in Duncan when you kind of pass that sign?
Yeah. But are surprised to find out it's not Duncan.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. It surprised me on that one.
Both gateway signs on the Trans-Canada Highway fall within the municipality of North Cowichan, which is roughly 200 square kilometers, stretching from Chemainus to just south of Duncan.
We've always struggled a bit with our identity, so we're looking at taking some steps to address that.
One of the ways of establishing their identity is to install new gateway signage along the highway, and Council has sent a letter to the city of Duncan asking to work with North Cowichan in addressing Duncan's current welcome signs.
Perhaps it's relocating the signs or changing the way in which they're presented so that it's not a welcome to Duncan sign.
The city of Duncan says that the South End Gateway sign is already slated to be removed and a new one relocated and installed north of the bridge within Duncan's jurisdiction. Duncan's mayor says there's a lot more bigger issues to address than a so-called identity crisis.
North Cowichan is made up of all of these other areas. They identify as who they are. Crofton will always identify as being Crofton and Chemainus as Chemainus.
Another way to improve their identity is, in 2025, people living in North Cowichan that have Duncan as their mailing address will be able to change it. Andy Garland, CTV News, North Cowichan.
And now we turn our attention to the stock market. The Canadian dollar is down about 0.2 of a penny. The price of gold is up $32.60. Oil is up 12 cents. Natural gas is down 2 cents. And aluminum is up $1.50. In Toronto, the TSX is down 121 points. The Venture Index is down 2 points. In New York, the Dow Jones is down 154. And NASDAQ is down about. Still ahead, those working in travel and tourism have recommendations on when to pick your next vacation. Welcome back to our last segment. Now to a federal update as we refer to Rachel Aiello with more on the GST, including its length and who should be eligible for it.
As businesses gear up to cut the GST from numerous consumer goods,
the word we're getting is make your best effort.
The majority of MPs signaled they don't want the 2-month tax break broadened.
Yes, they're saying.
The only NDP Opposition Day motion of the fall, calling on the government to extend the tax relief, as well as expand eligibility of the $250 rebate to non-working Canadians, was defeated.
We think that tax cuts should be permanent for the working class. They want it to be temporary. We think that seniors and people living with disabilities should be able to get that check. The Liberals don't agree.
The fate of those checks is still hanging in the balance, with no word on if or when the government will make that promised rebate a reality. Meanwhile, the GST break bill is still before the Senate, but it is on track to pass in time to be enacted on Saturday. Though, new analysis from the Parliamentary Budget Officer warns the tax holiday could cost nearly double what the Liberals projected. That if provinces insist on being compensated the $1.3 billion in revenue that they are set to lose from their portion of the HST. So far, no indication from Ottawa that they intend to cover the whole cost, defending the policy as is.
This is going to be major tax savings, and it's going to provide stimulus for economy, which is very, very positive.
The vote on Singh's effort to expand the holiday affordability package took place right after the Liberals survived their third Conservative non-confidence motion of the fall sitting.
I declare the motion defeated.
Pierre Poilievre pushed a new motion, this time not angling to bring the government down, rather calling on Trudeau to eliminate the GST off of one of Canadians' biggest purchases.
They can stop taxing new homes.
And unless it's under out of the ordinary circumstances, most travelers will not be booking a flight during the upcoming holiday season. But going forward, many say that booking last-minute trips in calmer traveling periods is a good strategy to have. And Jacqueline Lee of ABC News will explain further.
Have you waited until the last minute to book your holiday travel? If you're scrambling to find an affordable flight home or much needed getaway over the holidays, Kathy Nastro of Going.com says act now.
You do not want to wait.
Booking at the last minute to save is a thing of the past. The winter holiday week is one of the most lucrative for the airline industry, and they know desperate jet setters will pay higher fares.
It is much more common for airlines to actually increase prices the closer and closer you get to the day you're looking to fly.
Nastro says there are still ways to save.
Traveling on the holiday itself can oftentimes present flights 15 to 20% cheaper. That means flying on the Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, for example.
If it's a getaway vacation you're after, it's best to be open when it comes to destinations.
Flexibility in these last-minute searching scenarios tends to be a better tactic versus having a place in mind and just sort of throwing up your hands and paying whatever you see in terms of airfare and hotels.
If you're flying domestically, consider mix and matching flights.
It might be cheaper to travel on one airline going to a destination and then traveling back on another airline.
And if you aren't in a rush to come home after ringing in the new year,
extending your winter holiday trip into that following weekend, we're often seeing prices for various destinations, up to 30%, even more off of what you would typically pay trying to target that January 1st or 2nd, right after that New Year period.
Nastro says flights are unlikely to drastically drop in price this late in the game, but any savings is better than no savings. Jacqueline Lee, ABC News, Los Angeles.
And that will be all for tonight's cast. Thank you very much for tuning in, and good night.